Heroes at Home. We're sharing stories of area residents who are doing great things, from firefighters to fundraisers, veterans to volunteers. Heroes at Home is brought to you by the comfort people at Terrell E. Mosley, specializing in heating, cooling, and maintaining the air quality of your home or business. Online at terrellemosley.com. Hear more from our Heroes at Home by visiting WLNI.com.
And we welcome to the program for Heroes at Home with the City of Lynchburg Emergency Communications Officer Samantha Mattingley. Samantha, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here for our Heroes at Home segment. Now, all I know right now is that you, in your role as an emergency communications officer, saved someone's life over the phone. So we're just going to start there, and I'm going to find out this together along with the listeners. I have no background information here. Do you, Brian?
I do.
Oh,
actually.
Good. Okay. So, but
this is from an LPD Facebook post. Is where this started and got picked up in some couple of other places.
Well, great, but it's fine because we can just kind of
we
have her
just
tell the
explore
story.
it, yeah.
So, Samantha, walk us through what happened. How did all of this start?
For this particular call, a female called and said that they were going through their morning routine. She left the room to do whatever it was that she was doing that morning, came back, and her partner, I guess, had fallen, and he wasn't breathing. And so from there, we have a script. Depending on the answers that you give us, then we determine which pathway that we need to take. But immediately when she said that he wasn't breathing, then, of course, we want to start CPR. So we give them instructions for positioning. We want them flat on their back and to make sure that we have an airway. And right away, as soon as someone says something like that, it's a pretty significant call. So we dispatch immediately, and we send the fire department to start driving. And while they're driving there to provide in-person care, we're doing the best we can to give them the best help over the phone by providing CPR instructions. So she started CPR, and I walked her through that and the process of that, and just encouraging her to keep going, don't stop until help gets there, reassuring her that they're coming as fast as they can. You're doing a great job providing him the best care that's possible prior to hospital arrival. So she did CPR. The fire department got there, and they determined, yes, that CPR was necessary. Sometimes they'll get there and it's not necessary. So they did determine it was that situation. So they continued CPR. They were able to get a pulse back, and they transported him to the hospital. So he made it.
Well, that's a great story. Is it a typical day for you to be walking somebody through this life-saving procedure?
It's interesting. The word typical doesn't really apply to the job, which is fun, or, well, maybe not fun is not the exact word, but it can be a fun day because we don't really have a typical day. You never know what to expect or what is going to be on the other side of the phone. There could be, I've gone weeks and maybe 2 or 3 months and not had to give CPR instructions, and there have been days where I've taken 3 calls or so and given CPR instructions. So it really just kind of varies of what's going on and what kind of emergencies people have that day. But that day, I think we had 2 CPR calls on the screen. So it just kind of depends on what's on the other end of the phone.
Yeah, I guess I know where you're coming from when you say it. You enjoy your job. You enjoy your job.
I do.
Even though a lot of because you're helping people. A lot of the calls, I'm sure people are having a tough time with whatever. What is, do you have...
Do you ever get like 4-year-olds call up and say their brother stole their candy bar and stuff like that?
You get some crank calls?
Sometimes we'll get prank calls, or kids are not very nice and they think, oh, well, this phone doesn't work or they can't find me. Sometimes we can. Sometimes we can't. It depends on technology. But we do get the prank calls. We have our regulars that call. And when I say regulars, it's those that just need some extra help more so than others, whether that's mental illness or if they have a lot of health conditions or they're just in a situation in life where they just need a lot of assistance, whether that's from police or the fire department. And then we get some callers that they call in and say, hey, this is Bobby, and I just wanted to let you know I'm home and everything's okay. Okay, Bobby, you have a great day. And we do have those callers, and we do get the prank callers, and we get a lot of calls from the smart watches and the phones. People just push buttons by accident, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry that I called." And I always tell them I would much rather take an accidental call than an actual emergency. So it's no problem. Have a great day. Glad that everything's okay.
Now, do you ever, when you get the call, do you ever say like, Domino's, will this be carry out or delivery or anything like that?
Sometimes we do have people that will kind of talk in code. I've spoken to a woman before, and she was like, "Oh, hey, girl, what time are we meeting for the movies?" And at first, I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I just kind of picked up on a tone like, "Oh, okay, yeah, uh-huh." So sometimes they will kind of speak in code, or they won't answer questions, and we're trying to find out if they're in danger, or some people will call and just keep an open line, and they won't say anything at all. So we just kind of have to ask certain questions. If you're in danger, can you press a button on the phone? Like if they can't talk, can you press a button, or can you blow into the mic of the phone so that it's some sort of silent signal to us, whether this is just an accidental call or if something's really happening and we need to send help to lay eyes on it and figure out what's going on.
I saw it was a movie or something just the other night where the girl had tried to call 911, and then the guy who had kidnapped her grabs the phone and says, "Oh, everything's fine. We're just something," and it was so frustrating because "Oh no, I hope the dispatcher knows something's going on." Do you ever get situations like that in real life?
Unfortunately, we do. There's certain. Unfortunately, we have frequent, or we're familiar with certain addresses or certain people that call or their phone numbers. We can look up history with their phone numbers and say, "Oh, I've talked to her before, and I know the situation between her and the family or whomever it is." And we may just get hang-up calls, and if we recognize the number, then we sometimes will send people because we just know that there's something happening. So there is sometimes that we kind of have to play detective a bit and kind of go with your gut feeling that you can't train people on it. You just kind of develop it, and it's there. And we would rather send people than not at all, depending on the situation. But there are times that you really have to read a person's tone and what are you hearing in the background, just kind of piecing all of the dots together to see if this is something that we really should check up and follow up on. So there are times that people will say, "Oh, no, everything's fine," and we say, "Okay, have a good day," but then we still send someone. So we do our best to help and provide people. And, if they get there and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was a rough day, I haven't slept, and everything's truly fine, I just, probably had an attitude or something," then great, I'm glad that you're having a good day and nothing's wrong. We would sleep better and feel better that we checked on someone rather than just let it go.
Now, we're speaking with Samantha Mattingley, Lynchburg City Emergency Communications Officer.
So I'm looking here, and something else I note from the story, that you played a part in the arrest of a wanted individual monitoring a radio channel when the tactical unit in the state drug task force were going after someone. Can you tell us anything about that?
The Lynchburg Police Department has a fantastic tactical team, and in more recent years, they've gotten more involved and more equipment, and times have kind of evolved where they have to up their game and respond to some interesting calls. And so anytime that your scope of what you're doing evolves like that, sometimes you have to involve more pieces. And so they've tried to involve dispatch in that as well to kind of document things on the call if we need additional resources or tie things together. It really does help to have a dispatcher involved in some of those operations. So that happened to be one of the calls that they requested to have a dispatcher work. I was already working that day, and I like doing the TAC team calls. I like doing the big structure fires, the big events. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't want anything bad to happen to someone, but if it's going to happen, then I want to be involved so I can do everything I can to help. And so that was just one of those days that I happened to be working, and so I got assigned to monitor that channel. And it was organized chaos. There were a couple of twists and turns that we weren't expecting, but the guys did a great job. Everything worked out. They pieced together some intel that they had gotten, and got a guy off the streets that shouldn't have been free at the time. So it was nice to be involved and to be recognized that I played a role in piecing things together and just helping out with the team. It really is one of those jobs that you have to be a team player. You have to help with everyone. It's not a solo job, and I enjoy being a part of the team. So it was a good day to enjoy the organized chaos and be a part of that.
We have a listener question here for you, Samantha. Wants to know about texting 911. Is that something that you can do at this point?
Yes, I wanted to mention that earlier and it slipped my mind. So Lynchburg and surrounding counties, they do have the technology available now from a cell phone that you can text 911. And you just, in the blank message portion, you just type the numbers 911 and, tell us what's happening. And so we do have the technology to respond back. And the most important thing that we can have from any caller is their location. So we need to know where you're at so that we can send help. And is it police, fire, medical, what's going on? Some people will text if they can't talk and they want to report like fraud on their bank account or something like that, which, will help you absolutely. But that's more of a phone call. That it's just easier to gather information for that. But in certain cases where you can't talk, such as, you have some sort of person that's going to cause some potential issues and it's dangerous and they can't hear you or they shouldn't be able to hear you, or someone's in your house or things like that. If you're in an unsafe situation, then absolutely, then text 911, tell us where you're at. We'll respond with questions. We'll probably have a lot of questions such as what's their name, what's their description, are they driving something, are there any weapons, are you injured, do you need medical assistance? So things of that nature definitely can be helpful to have that option to text 911 in this area when previously people couldn't call if it posed some sort of danger to them. So yes, it is an option to text 911. It's a great technology tool that we have.
When somebody calls 911, say from Forest, I mean, your city of Lynchburg, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? If somebody's calling 911, are regional calls all going to you, or just city of Lynchburg?
So if you call from a landline, then it should be set up properly with your phone company and all the technology that's involved there. And it should ring to whichever jurisdiction the landline is registered to. So if you have a business in Forest, if you call 911 from the landline, it should ring in to Bedford County. Now, technology sometimes doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So if it does get rerouted, then we can just transfer you once we figure out what the address is. And now I don't have the exact statistics, but I would venture to say probably 75% of our calls are from cell phones, if not more. So that can be a little tricky. Whichever cell phone tower that you're closest to, the signal will hit off of that tower, and whichever jurisdiction you're closest to will send it to that center. So sometimes if you're on the line, then you might be closer to one tower than the other, or if there's a really big event in one area and that cell phone tower is kind of bogged down with a lot of calls, then it may send you to the next cell phone tower that it hits off of, which could be in a different jurisdiction. Now, it shouldn't be something in like D.C. or,
right,
Richmond. It should be fairly close, but there have been times where technology does what it does, and we have to get creative and figure out where you are and transfer you to that. So if you are calling on a cell phone, then whichever cell phone tower you're closest to will send you there. And a lot of times when you're on the line and close to other counties versus the city, then you just, give us your address. Oh, okay, you're in Amherst County. Hang on just a second. I'm going to transfer you. And we have like a speed dial button that we transfer to surrounding counties. And sometimes people call from Lynchburg on their cell phone and say, I just got a phone call from my daughter. She lives in Chicago and she's choking and she's having this emergency. I need to talk to 911 there. So we have a software where we can look up the numbers to every answering point in the U.S., which is fantastic. So as long as they have the address or at least the general area, we can look up that number and give it to them. And then once they talk to someone local, they can kind of pinpoint where it needs to go from there.
Samantha Mattingley, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being one of our heroes at home, and keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.